evidence, a frightening rap sheet, and a history of drug and mental health issues. Police say Darnell Hunter stabbed a man and sliced a woman's throat.
Both survived, and Hunter was arrested, but instead of returning to prison, he got probation. Police say then he killed a man.
Investigative reporter Mike Pearlstein finds out how Hunter slipped through the justice system and how that left a family in disbelief.
Hearing that, that's heartbreaking.
Chucky Fink Jr. would have turned 27 earlier this month. He didn't make that milestone because on April 2nd, he was fatally stabbed while sleeping on a sidewalk on Bourbon Street.
And it broke my heart to no end. I could not believe that. How can you just walk up, stab someone, and then walk down the street like nothing?
Fink's sister Liz remembers her brother's love of music, his time playing in the marching band at Chalmette High School.
I would go to parades and watch him and my mom marching. I'm like, wow, that's my brother. I was devastated because I was like the last person to have seen him.
Fink was homeless as he battled mental illness, but he remained close to his family, and his mother and two sisters are now struggling to cope with the trauma of his killing.
He was just trying to sleep on the sidewalk. He wasn't in anybody's way.
Compounding their grief, Fink's family is anguished over a series of decisions that put Fink's accused killer, Darnell Hunter, back on the street despite a long and troubling rap sheet that included 2 other recent knife attacks. Those victims, including a woman whose throat was cut, survived.
I mean, you slit a lady's throat. You know, you're lucky she didn't die.
Court records show that Hunter's criminal history began when he was a juvenile and continued as soon as he became an adult. He's a registered sex offender with obscenity and indecent behavior convictions. In addition to serving prison time on those charges, he did 4 years for purse snatching and resisting an officer. In 2010, a Jefferson Parish judge said he regretted that juvenile law prohibited him from locking up Hunter for 20 years. In one chilling line from the court transcript, the judge stated, "This kid scares me."
This is an offender with violent sex crimes, domestic abuse, armed robbery, firearms, drug possession.
Raphael Goyeneche of the Metropolitan Crime Commission said that while Hunter's criminal history is disturbing, the breaks he got from the criminal justice system are even more alarming.
If the prosecutor doesn't hold these people accountable and doesn't use the law to remove violent and repeat offenders, there are going to be more Darnell Hunter horror stories.
Hunter's crimes escalated over the past 2 years, and so did leniency by the New Orleans District Attorney's Office. Court records show that in August 2022, Hunter was homeless when he was booked with attempted armed robbery, assault, and being a felon with a gun. Police say he was carrying crystal meth and a pipe when they arrested him.
I cannot think of a worse combination.
Hunter was facing a minimum of 5 years in prison when the DA's office offered a generous plea bargain, reducing all of the charges to misdemeanors. Judge Nandi Campbell went even further and allowed Hunter to be released on his own recognizance until sentencing.
No, it makes no sense at all.
Hunter was free for 9 days before police say he struck again. According to this police affidavit, Hunter lashed out on December 28, 2022. The same NOPD detective who arrested Hunter just months earlier stated that he stabbed a man at Poydras and Loyola using the knife to cut a man's cell phone from his pocket. Then blocks away, officers wrote that Hunter approached a woman and, quote, cut her neck from behind her left ear to the middle of her neck. Janet Hayes, a longtime mental health advocate, is director of Healing Minds NOLA. She says she's never seen a case with so many tragic failures. She says someone battling mental health issues like Hunter should get intensive treatment before any consideration of returning them to the street.
1 out of 10, greater than 10. I've failed clearly along the way at every step.
Despite the allegations of extreme random violence, Hunter got another break. After about 10 months in jail awaiting trial, the DA's office offered Hunter another lenient plea bargain. Court records show that prosecutors dropped almost all the charges against him in exchange for a guilty plea to being a felon with a gun.
That is a case study in poor judgment by the district attorney's office.
But even that plea deal came gift-wrapped. Under state law, the sentence for being a felon with a gun carries a mandatory 5 to 20 years. For Hunter, Judge Campbell signed off on a rarely used downward departure, allowing probation as long as Hunter appeared in court for mental health checks. In this letter from the Orleans Public Defender's Office, a social worker with the office urged his release, promising to make sure Hunter had transitional housing, took his medication, and attended his court hearings.
He clearly did not get the help that he needed because he continued to be released and commit more crimes, and every crime became more serious.
By the time the calendar flipped to 2024, Hunter stopped showing up at mental health court. He next surfaced after he was arrested for fatally stabbing Chucky Fink in the neck. He was picked up less than an hour later, a few blocks away. Police say Hunter was carrying 2 switchblade knuckle knives, weapons that combined a switchblade with brass knuckles.
If he had been properly handled by the district attorney's office, he wouldn't have been on the streets to commit the murder. When you have an outcome like this, you begin to foster some resentment between police and prosecutors.
Hayes says this case is a tragedy for everyone, even Darnell Hunter, who now faces a mandatory life sentence if convicted of second-degree murder.
A system that failed him, the system failed everybody.
Not only did Christy Burke have to tell her 2 daughters about their brother's murder, but also the circumstances that put Hunter back on the street.
They were like, how is this man walking around, Mom? And I said, baby, I don't know.
Mike Perlstein, WWL